Well, last year, Thailand predicted its economy would be flourishing now in 2014, but after these 6 months of political instability, it actually shrank in the first quarter of this year. Now, if you compare that to its neighbours, Malaysia and Singapore, both, as you can see there, grew very rapidly. Foreign investors have been pulling out since protests began in November. Around 200 foreign investment projects have been on hold during that time, and they're worth more than $12 billion. Tourism, worth about $35 billion a year, that's about a tenth of the economy, is also suffering. And around 400,000 fewer people visited Thailand in the first 4 months of the year, a drop in around 5%. Thailand's tourism board fears a 12% drop in May from the previous year, and in cold, hard cash terms, Thailand is expected to lose $2.5 billion tourist dollars in the first half of this year alone. Well, Murray Hibbert is from the Centre for Strategic and International Studies. He joins us now live from Washington, D.C. Murray, thanks very much for being with us. I mean, those are pretty sobering figures and more sobering news coming out of Thailand in the past few hours, that the former Prime Minister, along with other political leaders, have been detained by the army. What is this going to do for potential investors or investors who are already there?
Well, I think investors that are already there probably are still in a wait-and-see mode. But some have already said, like you've had the 2 car manufacturers from Japan, Honda and Toyota, announcing they won't do new investment. I think that's the case for a lot of investors. The equity investors still seem to be there. The stock market didn't take a very big hit. Barely shrank at all, and the baht, the currency, has also been stable. But I think new investors are obviously going to look for alternatives, and you're starting to see car manufacturers, American car manufacturers, for example, look at Indonesia. That's partially because of the chaos in Thailand, but partially also because of a big market in Indonesia. But yes, I don't think, and we'll see a lot of new investment in the months ahead. As you mentioned, for the last 7 months, there's been a ton of projects that have, applications that have been put on hold.
And this couldn't have come at a worse time for Thailand with, again, as we just heard those figures, the economy shrinking in the first quarter of this year.
Right, and part of the shrinking is because domestic demand has just collapsed. You know, people aren't going shopping, aren't buying new refrigerators and air conditioners. People just really don't know, so it's a lot of wait and see. It'll really take some doing to get this back on track. Everybody was looking for the government to spend about $11–12 billion on construction of a flood holdback system. It was looking for about $66 billion in roads and railroad infrastructure construction. These would have had a huge impact on boosting the efficiency of the economy. So these projects also just haven't, the spending projects haven't been approved by Parliament, so they're also on hold.
And of course, the other big sector in Thailand's industry, tourism. Last night, the first night of this coup, when the curfew came into play at about 10 o'clock, we were seeing tourists being dragged out of or being told to leave the bars and to go home. I mean, they come to Thailand, to Bangkok, to party, to relax, to have fun, so presumably they're not going to want to return.
Right. That's the tourists, in fact, are being encouraged by some embassies in Bangkok to maybe reconsider, because the curfew will obviously cut off nighttime travel and, the partying and other things that happen between the hours of 10 and 5 will no longer be possible. Till now, the tourism had been hit mostly in Bangkok, where the hotels were maybe 40% occupancy or less, compared to, usually 80 or more % during the height of the tourism season, which we're just finishing now. Upcountry, Chiang Mai or Phuket in the south, the beach resort areas, those have been continuing normally. That's now obviously also going to end.
Murray Hibbert, great to speak to you. Thanks very much for joining us there from Washington.
Great, thank you.